was in this light, and there were these incredible light beings, huge light beings, way bigger than our size, around me, a whole community of light beings, and I never felt that much love. The love, I mean, it was pure bliss. And I was like, I'm home, you know? Yeah. And I thought that I was there for good. It was like, oh, wonderful. And then I remember saying, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. And the next thing I heard, and this is all happening through telepathy. This is not normal words. I'm getting telepathic messages from the group. And I hear as clear as if you were speaking to me, beloved one, you are not done yet. And we are with you, and all will be well.
Hello, my dear friends. I'm Donald Lee, and this is Expressing and Revealing Your Truth with Donald Lee. It's a podcast in which I help you to understand the truth about who you really are and how you can express and reveal that truth in the world. To do that, I interview people who have had transformational spiritual experiences, the type of experiences that many of us wish we had, but never do. Yet by learning from my guests' experiences and the wisdom they've gained from those experiences, all of us can glimpse a bigger vision of who we really are and how we can live our lives more successfully, more peacefully, more lovingly. Be sure to download my free mini ebook containing 5 of the 50 parables from my popular book, The Band Director's Lessons About Life. These little parables are short, easy to read, inspiring, and also help you to understand more about who you really are. There is a link in the show notes to get your free ebook. In this episode, I interview Isa Lara Marié. Isa suffered a traumatic childhood of continual ritual sexual abuse at the hands of elders from her church. The child's response to trauma is to dissociate, producing dissociative identity disorder. The psyche and the soul leave the body, and that's what happened to Isa. She didn't really even return to her body until she was 22 years old, and thus began a long and painful healing process. Having healed herself, Isa now helps others heal from all sorts of trauma and painful experiences, particularly with all the attention now being focused on human trafficking and sexual abuse. This is a story you don't want to miss. Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back. Today we have another very special guest, Isa Lara Marié. Now, we'll hear the story. That's not the name that she was given at birth. That's the name she was given later in life. And she has an incredible story of recovering from ritual sexual abuse as a child and all of the psychological issues that go along with that, and psycho-spiritual issues, we probably should say, and how that kind of set her on her spiritual journey. So this is, fasten your seatbelts, folks. This is going to be an incredible journey. Welcome, Isa. How are you today?
Thank you, Donald. I'm doing really well. I'm excited to be here.
Good. I'm excited to have you. So let's jump in, and you know your story. You know what's most important to share about it. I'll try not to interrupt you too much, but sometimes I get excited and I have to jump in. So take it away. Tell us your story.
You feel free to interrupt me anytime when there are questions. Yeah. Well, I was severely dissociated as a child. I did not know this, of course, when I was a child. I did not realize that I was completely out of my body all of the time. But I always knew something was wrong, really wrong with me. Like something was really wrong. But I didn't know what it was because I had separated. I'd completely separated from myself.
So can you kind of explain that? When you say you were not in your body, not ever in your body. So can you explain what would you perceive on a normal day as, say, an 8 or 9 year old kid going to school, like third grade,
Yeah.
fourth grade, fifth grade, whatever. I mean, everybody's going to,
Yeah.
what would you experience? What would your experience be?
I would say there were aspects of my experience that would probably be pretty normal looking, which were that I saw what everyone would see, the physical reality of what was occurring. But if I had been around people who were aware of body awareness and psychology, I know they would have known and could see that I was out of my body, because how I presented is I was extremely spacey and floaty and just kind of like a very extremely etheric. And I would forget things. I had terrible boundaries, of course, because I was going through extreme trauma and abuse that I was dissociating from, thank goodness, so that I could not go crazy or
Yeah.
literally die,
Yeah.
or kill myself.
This is a normal reaction. I mean, many of our listeners and viewers probably won't know this, but this is a normal response, particularly amongst children, to traumatic situations that are just beyond their capacity to deal with, to cope with. They dissociate. And as I'm sure we'll hear, this is the source of what is now called a dissociative identity disorder, or DID, what formerly called multiple personality disorder. But from my understanding of it, I think the psychologists agree that it is essentially always caused by childhood trauma of some sort.
That's right. That's right. And of course, I didn't know I had this as a child, right? And you asked what I saw. I also, from very young, could see spirits. So I also was simultaneously having the experience of angels, or what we would call ghosts, but just spirits, people who have passed over. I was extremely sensitive to energy. My mother used to tell me that I was her barometer, that I would hide behind her legs if someone had what she called negative energy.
Right.
And if someone was safe, I would come out. And I was very sensitive, extremely, to the energetics. And of course, some of this I know is how I came into this body as a soul. But a lot of it was that I had to leave and live in the realm of spirit, out of body. Thank goodness I had incredible guidance and angels that were with me to this day still, who really saved my life. They were my refuge, and they really saved my life. And so I had this dual reality happening, the very physical, look normal, but then at the same time, seeing and sensing all these other things. And I grew up in a fundamentalist Christian home in the deep South of the United States. And so I could not share this with anyone. I couldn't say I was seeing spirits. I would have been institutionalized.
Yeah.
So I had to hold all of this in. And actually, as a little girl, I thought other people saw these, but you just don't talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. You just assume that the experience that you have is the same experience everybody else has.
That's
Many of my
right.
guests say that, right? If they've had these kinds of experiences from being very young, that at some point, age 6, 7, usually somewhere in there,
Yeah,
they come to realize that, oh, you mean other people don't see these things?
that's right. It's human nature, especially when you're a little child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you went through like all the way through your teenage years. Can you describe then a little bit, because you were mentioning before we hit
Yes.
record that this sexual abuse happened within your church.
Yes, this is right.
Can
So
you,
what
which is of course shocking to a lot of people, but unfortunately is not all that uncommon.
Unfortunately, it is more common than we could ever imagine happening on the whole planet at this time still.
Yeah.
There are underground cults, groups of people, men and women, who brainwash, program children, enslaved children and adults into different kinds of sexual slavery and torture. And in my experience, my situation, my parents were unknowingly delivering me to a Lutheran church in the Deep South. We had a lot of contact there. We were at the church several, 2-3 times a week, every week, my whole childhood. And we had extensive, summer camps and catechism classes and all sorts of activities. There was, of course, a main minister, and he was, you could say, the ringleader of the cult. And he had a skill set. He was an ex-Navy SEAL. And he knew how to deceive and do these things covertly. There were other members that he was bringing in. So it was a group of men that were abusing us children. I was one of many children. And
both girls and boys?
Girls and boys. And it happened for as many years as I can remember being cognizant in my childhood from a very young age until I was 14. And at age 14, this minister, the congregation claims they didn't, know what was happening, but they thought they did think he was crazy for other reasons. He was, exhibiting crazy behavior in the church.
Right.
And they actually ended up firing him.
Sorry to interrupt again, Isa. Do you suspect that maybe he would have also had some training in psychological warfare techniques, which is...
Without question.
Yeah.
Yes. And also when I was young and part of that church, he had experiences with drugging us, what to use, how to use it, and how to do certain things to not leave overt marks on the body. Because, right, if there had been marks, then the parents would have been alerted more that something was happening. And he was incredibly trained how to do this.
Just a little break from the program to mention a couple of things. Firstly, if you're enjoying this podcast, please like, subscribe, and leave a short comment. It really helps with the algorithm to find more people who would enjoy these interviews. Also, if you're interested in spiritual growth, you might be interested in my series of spiritual books. As a spiritual author and a former band director, I use my little "the band director" trademark in these books because I use music as a metaphor for life and the journey of becoming a musician as a metaphor for our spiritual journey. There are 3 books in this series. The Band Director's Lessons About Life is a book of modern-day parables inspired by events from my teaching career. When you're working with kids, things naturally come up that we sometimes call teachable moments. Little events where you realize there's a bigger lesson happening right now than the alternate F-sharp fingering on the clarinet that I was trying to teach. I started writing some of these little stories down and turning them into modern-day parables. So the Band Director's Lessons About Life has 50 little parables. It's a bit like a Chicken Soup for the Soul book. Each parable is about 3 pages long. Each begins with a story that happened at school, and then there's a reflection section that draws a spiritual lesson out of the events of the story. That is, it explains what the spiritual metaphor means. The Band Director's Lessons About Life is easy to read, makes a great gift, and expresses many universal spiritual principles in an easy-to-understand way. If you want to go deeper in your spiritual growth, I've also published a study guide to accompany the Book of Parables. It turns the Band Director's Lessons About Life into a year-long course in spiritual development. You will spend a week on each of the 50 parables. There is a deeper teaching about the meaning of each parable, reflection and discussion questions, especially helpful if you would like to use the study guide in a group setting, and a different meditation for each lesson. The 3rd book in this series is a little book titled The Band Director's Pocket Guide to Spiritual Growth. This little book explains a simple 3-step process for putting your spiritual growth into high gear. You might also be interested in my 2-book series about the craziness in our world today. The first book, What the Hell is Going On? The Web of Fraud That is Enslaving Everyone and How We Can Escape to Freedom, is still the best big picture expose of what's really going on behind all this craziness. It includes a spiritual perspective of what's happening, which most books leave out. But it also looks at the economics, the philosophy, the psychology, the history, etc., of the many trends that just don't make sense and are, in fact, elaborate frauds. The second book in this series focuses more on solutions to the mess we're in. It's The Way Forward, how to escape the totalitarian control of the New World Order and heal from its trauma. This book explains the 3 types of warfare we're being subjected to: spiritual warfare, psychological warfare, and 5th-generation warfare, and how we can sensibly respond on these 3 levels of body, mind, and spirit. You can learn more about all of my books at my website, www.cominghomespirit.com, because after all of us are on a spiritual journey back home to God. So that's cominghomespirit.com. You can also go directly to my Shopify page at cominghomespirit.myshopify.com, where you can purchase my books directly from me in paperback, ebook, and audiobook formats. I can now ship paperback books to the United States and Canada. If you're enjoying this podcast, I really think you'll enjoy my many books as well. Now, back to the program.
And so I started, I would say in my early teens, Donald, I got sicker and sicker. It started with anorexia, bulimia. I started starving myself to the point where my family was getting ready to put me in the hospital, and I was in a really bad state. And that was sort of the beginning of it, was that anorexia, bulimia. And this went on for years. But of course, I couldn't speak it to my parents back then because my parents, they had a lot of pathology and trauma, alcoholism, borderline personality disorder, and just severe. There was abuse in my home from my parents as well, just not sexual.
Right.
In that way. And so there was no safe place for me to go, no extended member of my family. There was no adult around me that I felt that I could go to. Plus, I had been programmed that the abusers told me that they would kill my family. They would kill me and they would kill my family if I ever spoke it. And of course, in this kind of abuse, they blame you and they convince you that it's your fault, it's your problem, you deserve punishment. And you begin to just be shame. You feel completely broken, like a piece of garbage, This is very common. And you don't even think of speaking out because to do that, you will die. And there's the feeling that you also know you will be blamed. Yeah. So their mental tactics for programming us was super strong.
Yeah.
They used drugging, they used suffocation, they used to take me to the brink of dying and then allow my body to live. Usually this was from suffocation. And in that way, they gained incredible control over my mind and other children there as well. Then when I was 14, the preacher was fired. And at that time, then the cult dismantled. And as I don't remember any abuse in the church after that point. But what happened is I had become a walking target. I was sort of emanating, right? I was out and I was like a wounded deer. And I carried this frequency of just vulnerability and I'm out of my body and I am used to being abused. And I'm
Yeah.
by then I was attracted to danger. I
Yeah.
had been what we call trauma bonding, which is what happens. It's a generic term for that Stockholm syndrome,
Yeah.
which is when we have to bond to our abuser in order to survive.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, we die or we lose our mind completely. And so I had Stockholm syndrome, I had severe trauma bonding, and I attracted literally more rapes. I mean, there were a handful of more sexual assaults between age 14 for me and until I was about 20 years old. And it just kept continuing. I kept attracting perpetrators. It was like I had a neon sign, you know?
Yeah, it is. And a lot of people might find this hard to believe, but this is the spiritual principle that's sometimes called like attracts like, or the principle of resonance or sympathetic vibration. People find each other. I mean, as a teacher, I've been a teacher, of course, for many years, and you could see it. You get a bunch of kids together in a class that have never met each other. Within minutes, everybody's found each other, right? The troublemakers, they've all found the other troublemakers in the class, right? Right? The good kids, and as a teenager, as a kid, you don't understand how you're doing that, but you just realize that's somebody that's somebody I should connect with, and so it's absolutely a thing, and it's our vibration, basically.
It is, Donald. And I call this our energy signature that we're
Yeah,
broadcasting. We're like a radio station, right? At different
yeah,
moments, we broadcast different frequency. And I was broadcasting abuse.
yeah,
And it kept coming to me more and more. And I was getting sicker and sicker. And I coped by overachieving. I mean, I nearly killed myself from overachieving. I was, all the things, the president of my high school, the homecoming queen, the carousel princess. I just went for I thought if I could run fast enough and achieve and produce enough, that maybe somehow I could escape the horrible truth in my body. And so it was like I was running, just running from this sort of ghost that was haunting me in my own body, the memories that were building and storing in my body. And I literally ran. I was like a marathon athlete. I mean, I did everything and I did it all, swimming, hiking, running, out because I was running away from this trauma inside my own body. And I was trying to I didn't know this, of course. It was just happening at the time. And I was losing weight and could hardly, I was just eating just enough to stay out of the hospital. I did not want to be institutionalized. That was my goal, that was so scary to me to feel trapped inside of a hospital. So I just kept going and going. And as I got older in my teens, then all of a sudden I think I was about 19. Well, first I had the worst assault of my life by 3 men. I was 17 or 18. And in that moment, I lost consciousness and died. I had a near-death experience in that trauma from the physical suffocation and the pain the abuse that was happening to my body. And that was a very big pivotal moment for me because do you want me to share a little
yeah.
bit or
So what?
just kind of
Yeah.
skim?
So tell me, when your spirit left your body, can you tell us about that? What you experienced with your spirit?
That's right. I was being sexually assaulted. There were 3 men. I was in a barn. It was a horse ranch. And I left my body and there was no breath left. I died. I literally died. I could not breathe. There was no breath. I don't know how long I was in this state for because where I went was timeless. I shot out of my body. I could no longer feel the pain in my body. That was horrible at first. Pressure on my rib cage and my chest and my throat, and my body was being kind of torn apart. And I shot up out of my body. And all of a sudden, I just went straight up and I was in this light. And there were these incredible light beings, huge light beings, way bigger than our size, around me, a whole community of light beings. And I never felt that much love. The love, I mean, it was pure bliss. And I was like, I'm home, and I
Yeah.
thought that I was there for good. It was like,
Great.
oh, wonderful. And then I remember saying, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. And the next thing I heard, and this is all happening through telepathy. This is not normal
Right.
words. I'm getting
Yes.
telepathic messages from the group. And I hear as clear as if you were speaking to me, beloved one, you are not done yet. And we are with you, and
Oh, my.
all will be well. And the next thing I know, I am shooting down quickly like a tunnel, like a canal or a tunnel. And then I hit my body and I'm trying to breathe. The next thing is I'm trying to get my lungs to work. And there's vague like memory of people over me calling my name. Come back, come back. It's okay. Come back. Like, trying to bring me back. Next thing I know, my parents have been called. They've taken me to the hospital and I'm being diagnosed, and treated for my injuries. That point was probably one of my first more conscious spiritual awakenings. But I have to say, that while I was being sexually abused all those years, I was constantly in the realm of spirit being schooled
Right.
by this grace. So it's been happening all along, but these were more of like a acute moment of a memory, right? Like an experience, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry to laugh, but I mean, to be in the midst of what you're in the midst of physically and then have these angels or angelic beings say to you, you're not done yet. I mean, oh my
Oh, it was
God.
awful. It was awful
Yeah.
coming back. And when I came back, there was a feeling of like homesickness and like,
Yeah.
no, dread, of course, because
Yeah.
I was still attracting these sexual assaults and I hadn't come into my body yet. I was still in conscious amnesia. I was completely separated. And I was running from these parts of self. I call this extreme fragmentation or fracturing. And they would just take me over like the production part, the high achiever. And then I would just go into that part and live like that. And I almost killed myself, by just literally overachieving and never resting and never stopping and not eating and all of that marathon, exercise. So that was a pivotal point. Then after that, there was this awareness that kept rising in me. By then, I think I was nearing 18 years old. And there was this burning feeling that I had to escape my family. Like there was just this knowing in my being, like I have to get out of here or I will die. So I left. And I went to the university and then I did like abroad programs, in Europe. I was trying to get as far away from my family and the abuse as possible, right?
Right.
And I ended up in Italy for a whole semester, 6 months. And I got sicker and sicker. So this is when it was really getting to me. My body couldn't carry the abuse any longer. I was starving myself more. And then I had a near suicide attempt. So I was in Italy. I was 18. I was alone. And I had gone on our spring vacation. I went to the island of Sardinia by myself. I wasn't eating at this point. And I went to the cliffs. There are these huge cliffs, hundreds of feet high on the island of Sardinia. And I planned to jump. And I stood at the edge of that cliff. And I mean, I was in the deepest darkness consciously that I had ever felt because it was building in my body. the memories. And I closed my eyes. I took a deep breath. I was right at the edge and I got ready to take a step and I felt the physical presence. I got chills to this moment right now. My whole body's chilling of a hand on my shoulder pull me. And I was shocked. It was like it shocked me out of a trance. And I look around and there's no one there. There was no one there physically. And that shocked me out of that state. I was in a trance state, which is what you're in when you go through abuse. You end up in different states of trance. You have to be. It's what happens to cope. That was a pivotal turning point. I realized I needed help at that point. I ended up back in America again shortly after. And then it just kept going. My body kept delivering more. Then I ended up with extreme spinal pain. This was the next telling, sensation and symptom. And I'm just skipping a lot of details so to not bore you with too many details, but I ended up working for the National Park Service in the United States. And I ended up I didn't have an injury or anything in that. It's just that over time, I ended up with debilitating spinal pain. And I went and saw every doctor, even across the whole United States, Olympic doctors. I tried every allopathic method possible. I had every CAT scan, MRI, discogram, you name it. I had the test and no one could find what was going on with my back. And I had a fire down my leg and severe back pain. And I did all the treatments, physical therapy, everything, cortisone shots, the whole deal, everything. And then all the alternative treatments that you can imagine. All of it, homeopathy, everything, acupuncture, all of it, standing on my head, whatever, yoga. And finally, there was this epiphany in me. I think by then I'm 19. When you have an epiphany and it's like a light bulb just goes off inside of your head. Yeah. It's like, hello. It was like, I have to heal myself. This is what came to me. And I felt it in my whole body. I have to heal myself. I can't seek outwardly. And that was another pivotal shift. Then I began to be really open. What does that look like? I always had this incredible connection to the divine and love of God or all that is, source, my whole life. And I began to really just sort of put that prayer out. Like, I don't know what that means. Show me, And then within 2 years of that pivotal shift, I ended up in Seattle, Washington, where I ended up spending many, many years living there. And I met a person. And they took me and they met me and they said, you must see this healer, this mystic. And that was the day that I met my actual mentor. By then I was 22 years old and I went to her. I didn't know anything about channeling. I was from the South. I didn't know anything about any of these things. Yeah. Mediumship. I didn't have any language for any of it. But it was the most normal thing to me. I just knew it in my soul. And I was completely comfortable with it. This beautiful 6-foot-tall Amazon-looking woman came in and sat down. And she left her body. She closed her eyes, left her body, and this incredible being came in. I realize now that was an incredible Pleiadian being. His name was Philo that was coming through my mentor. I realized that shortly after, but, I had just met him for the first time through my mentor. And at the moment that he came in, this being, I felt a similar feeling of that love that I had felt out of my body when I died. And it was incredible. And I began to ask this being, what's going on with me? Why am I having debilitating spinal pain? And just to let you know, Donald, by then I couldn't sit for more than 5 or 10 minutes, I had to lay down. This went on for years before this session, probably 3 years at least, where I had to lay down all the time. I couldn't lift a coffee cup with water in it because the pain would become too excruciating. And this beautiful being said to me, "Beloved, you know why. You know why. It's okay now. It's okay now to feel what's in there." And I opened my eyes and I looked at him and I said, "The sexual abuse?" That's what I said. And he said, "Yes, beloved, it's okay to feel it now." And at that moment, I'm chilling to the bone again right now. Wow. Gives me chill bumps in my whole body. I came into my body. I was like, I shook, I cried, I was shaking uncontrollably, like, just like this, like just vibrating. And my spirit came down into my body and I cried and I cried and I shook. And actually, it was both blissful, incredibly blissful, and really hard all at the same moment. Like, oh, no, I have to feel this. Like,
Yeah.
no, I've been running from it my whole life. I had been.
Yeah.
And
And I think that
and I landed.
the word I think it's coming to my mind is cathartic, right?
Oh,
It's a purging of things
yes.
out of you, but the process of purging itself is also painful, but it brings relief.
You said that so well. That is exactly what I experienced. And that was the beginning of my new life from that moment onward. And it wasn't like I was just in my body and back. No. I would say that it may be a lifetime journey for me of fully 100% incarnating. And maybe it is for everyone. I'm not sure if anyone is,
Isa,
maybe
can you
some
hear me?
people are. That might be true. 100% in their body. But I know for me, it's been a journey. That was the beginning of that journey. And this became really my new life, my new path of learning how to be in my body. And this was years and years and years and years of work that it's still taking me really, and how to allow my emotions, because I was programmed and punished for having emotion. And I couldn't find my emotions. I mean, if you had seen me from the outside, you would have thought that I was the happiest person because I was trained to always have a smile and always be happy. Like that was the programming from the family and the perpetrators and the cult.
Right.
Can't have anything except that. So wow, that was hard work. I still work with not dismissing the subtlest emotion that I'm having. It's really a life's work. And it's obviously what I share with others, how to do that and teach others is how to get embodied and how to feel your emotions. And that is spiritual because we, the humanness in us, all of it is holy, is sacred, is spiritual, right? We can't just push something out and think we just have to transcend and leave our body. And no, for me, it's really about coming in and going through into expansion, into space and consciousness. So that to me is transcendence. And so that was the beginning at that time in my early 20s of my devotion. I mean, I dedicated at that moment my life, literally, to healing myself first, because I knew I had to. I didn't have a choice. I mean, I did have a choice. I could have died or, whatever, gone crazy, but it was like, I have to heal. So I dedicated myself to healing and awakening for myself and all beings everywhere. And I made it my life. It's not ever what I wanted to do. It's not like I had that thought as a teenager, I want to be a healer or a channel. No, I wanted to do other things. But at that time, I mean, it felt like spirit grabbed me literally almost by the nape of my neck, by my hair. It was like, you're going this way, little lady. And what can you do? Because I love Source so much. I love what we are, consciousness so much. That's my life. And I always did as a child, love Source that much, Spirit. I was, of course, like, I resisted for about a week. And then I was like, okay. And then I began a very long apprenticeship with my mentor.
Now,
Yeah.
did you mention your mentor's name? I kind of missed it if you did.
Her name was Lita Rose, and she passed over about 10 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she lived and worked in Seattle. Is that right?
She did. She lived there many years and worked there many years. She died very young.
Oh.
At 62.
Yeah. Well, now that I'm older than 62, I think 62 is very young.
To me, that's very young, 62. Nowadays, we all live a bit longer, as life evolves. Yeah, medicine evolves.
So she was your mentor and you studied with her for many years. Can you kind of encapsulate the gist of what she taught?
The main thing that she taught me, it might sound odd, but it was really how to get in my body and how to protect myself energetically. Of course, and then thus physically. That would then overflow into the physical arena. She taught me how to work with parts of the psyche, years and years and years of parts work. I still do that work today because to me, we are on a journey into infinity. It's not like there's some just end place where everything stops, right? We keep deepening and learning and growing and awakening. And she taught me energy medicine. She taught me, I would say she reminded me of who I am.
Right.
She mirrored and showed me, she saw me. And I think her greatest gift to me was she kept reflecting and saying verbally just who I am and helping me to see myself. I wasn't an abused woman. I, like all people, am a profound spirit, like everyone, in a body having experiences.
Yes. Yeah.
And
that's beautiful.
She helped me understand my power, my impeccability, that I had a commitment to impeccability. And I went on a very deep journey with her of shamanism, Toltec shamanism, I love this path. It is so beautiful. It changed my life. And energy medicine and channeling. She showed me that I could channel. I already was channeling, but I didn't know it. She really reminded me of all the innate gifts that I had since I was a child, but I had pushed them down.
Yes.
She gave me permission and she brought it out of me, and she gave me confidence. She helped me trust myself. And honestly, she so protected me. I was still attracting for years and years and years dangerous men. At first it had really ended that I was attracting physically dangerous men. That really stopped once I came into my body.
Okay.
And I worked consciously. I worked to change my energy signature in my light body, my aura. I did a lot of work with that, and that changed. That is complete. That was complete early on in my 20s. But she also really helped me learn how to stop attracting emotionally super dangerous men who were really unhealthy, really abusers, and super toxic. Because I was very much still in that, I was on that level attracting that, men who were really bad for me. So that was a great gift from her too. So many gifts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. The only bit of Toltec wisdom that I have come across is I read the book, The Four Agreements. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. My lineage was more through the Castaneda lineage. That was her lineage through, if you know of Carlos Castaneda and Don Juan Matus. Don Juan was Carlos Castaneda's teacher, and she had a lot of experiences and had trained in that lineage.
Fascinating. Now, you mentioned that the beginning of this, your first meeting with your mentor, she brought in this Pleiadian being, and I'm incredibly interested in all of the extraterrestrials and interdimensional folks as well. So was this something that continued? Did you continue to work with this particular Pleiadian or others? Do you do that now?
Yes, yes to all of the above. Yes. So I do. Actually, after that event, that life-changing event, I worked with Philo for many years through Lita Rose, many years, personally and in groups as well. She would do channeling groups as well. And it was incredibly supportive. And then shortly into my 20s, I began to work with her to reclaim and remember my own channeling, which I was already doing. I just didn't know that I could.
Right.
And I began channeling a Palladian collective and also now I channel many other groups as well, other than that. And I've been working consciously with many light beings. You know, the Palladians are one incredible group that I work with regularly, they work with me, but I also work with many others as well. A lot of it, sometimes I am just transmitting the frequency. They're moving their frequency through my body for my clients. I do a lot of that remotely and hands-on in person. I do both remote and in person. And that happens often. And sometimes they come through with information, words come. And I've been through all different levels of kinds of channeling. Used to be trance channeling, and now I do more what I call conscious channeling.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's fascinating. I mean, coming from kind of the worst imaginable beginning, you have come to a very enlightened state where you're helping humanity to raise our collective consciousness and individual consciousness, helping all of us to ascend. That's an incredible journey.
Thank you. Yeah, I know that there's no way I could help as much in the way that I do without my past experience. There was something about what I learned on a spiritual level. I mean, I learned every level, psychological, physical, spiritual, but I had to develop a muscle that I couldn't have otherwise. That mechanism, that depth that pulled me through the dark night of the soul continuous initiation over and over again is how I help people truly now. I mean, I do give thanks to it. I know that might sound really weird, but I really am grateful for my history. And I see it more as Earth School, that I chose these experiences. This was my service to myself, my own soul, and planet Earth. And I signed up for it. And I feel like this way I can help the most. Gives me the most skill set to be able to sit with people who literally walk through the darkest realms. And then I can be with them, or not even the darkest, and then anything else on the spectrum where there's craziness, confusion, trauma, or just hardship. And that's really why I wrote my book, First Light. It was this burning feeling that I wanted to help, that I wanted to inspire others. If I can heal this, you can too. You can heal anything. I really fully have experienced that.
That's beautiful. I would tell us a little bit about your book then, Isa, First Light. And this is a fairly new book too, right?
It is. It's fairly new. I published it a year and a half or so ago, 2 years ago, maybe. And, I am not a writer, Donald. So this was a stretch. I am not a writer. I know nothing about writing, nothing at all, zero. But I was sitting in a workshop actually in my area where I live, and it was on educating us about how to help people heal from sexual trafficking in our area off our corridor here of the highway. And I was in this workshop and I started shaking all over, literally shaking and kind of burning. And I closed my eyes like I often do. And I said, Great Spirit, all that is, please, what can I do? What do you want of me that will serve? Whatever you want of me, I will do it to help on the planet. I never thought I was going to be asked to write my story. I probably I might not have asked that question.
Yeah, they come. Be careful. Always be careful what you ask for. So it's like Moses, right? Great. Hold it, Lord. You want me
Exactly.
to do that? You're crazy. Like I stutter. I can't even talk to people. Like send somebody else. Like send my brother Aaron or something. Like not me. Right? And you say, "I'll do whatever you want. Write a book." Well, anything except that.
Exactly. And then I literally said that. I said, except that, is there any other way? Is something else you? And over, I heard a whispering voice, write your story, write your story. It took me many, many, many years to do that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just published that. Yeah. And the book is not all memoir. Part of my story, part of the book is part memoir, the beginning. And it's not, just so the reader knows, it's not super graphic. I wanted to do it in a very tasteful, grace-filled way that would be manageable for people who have trauma. There's only a couple pages that could be a little challenging for some people who are sensitive, which you can easily skip over. But I needed to give context, right, of the greater picture. And the rest of the book are resources and what helped me heal and how you can heal anything. My channelings on that of how you can really move through any hardship.
Well, that's incredibly helpful because the whole world has been traumatized. All of us have been traumatized, and many people don't realize it. But with what's been going on the last number of years, it's incredible. I mean, it looks to me, and other people have said this too, like mass trauma, mind control. I haven't got the right word here.
Yes. But I call that the world programming, that most people are under world programming. And it's true that just by being an incarnate in a body, we all have a level of trauma. And I often say this, most people are walking around in a trance. They are in trance in the world programming, beliefs, conditioning, habits, wherever it's from, family, culture, the greater world, beliefs, right? Politicians, all of it. And they're not home. They're not actually sovereign in their own being. And so I really wrote this book to help people reclaim their sovereignty, because I had to work so hard to reclaim my sovereignty. And I still work with that sometimes. Yeah.
You mentioned when you were talking about that is that it was really a process of learning who you are. And I really latched onto that term because that's a term I use in some of the books that I've written. And in this podcast, I say this is about expressing and revealing your truth. That is the truth of who you are. That we're not a body. We are an eternal being of light and love. We're children of God. And all the rest of this stuff is experiences we are having. It's not us, right? There's, as you know, right, we have this incredible misuse of this term in the world today. I identify. Right? I identify as this, as a puppy dog or a kitty cat, or like what crazy, like, don't be ridiculous, right? Or I identify as male or female or something different. Like, that's not what you are. That's an experience you're having, right? You are a soul. You're not a body. You have a body. You're experiencing being in the body that you have, but that's not who you are. And, like I say, the whole point of this podcast, expressing and revealing your truth, is to help people understand who we really are, and then to express and reveal that truth in the world, to live the truth of who we really are. So I really connected with you on that point, Isa.
I love how you just said that. It's so true that who we are, all of us, truly, is spirit, is consciousness, truly, and not any of the other. That's right. And I love that you're doing this podcast, what you're bringing. It's very needed. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And it's a joy meeting people like you.
Yeah.
It's an incredible experience for me. Of course, it doesn't make any money, but it's incredibly valuable for me. And I hope it's invaluable for other people who are listening and watching as well. But we have to wrap things up at some point. We could talk for hours, I'm sure. But
yes, we could.
The ability of people, or the willingness of people to listen, is finite. So
this is very true.
So we're going to wrap things up. Thank you so much, Isa. It's been a joy. and my honor to have this conversation with you today. And God bless you in your work and in your future life.
Thank you so much. What an honor to be with you. I feel truly blessed. May this bless others.
Amen.